Hi students, today we'll be starting a new lesson, Tippity the Flying Squirrel. So this story is written by Charles H. Donald. He was a well-known naturalist. In Companions Feathered, Furred and Scaled, published in 1920, he describes the various wild pets acquired by him and his wife during their jungle camping trips. So this story is also about a flying squirrel. So before we get into the story, we need to understand what are rodents. I hope you are aware of the rodents. So we have an activity, we have some letters not given according to the order. So let me see whether you are able to find out the names of these animals which are hidden in these letters. I hope you have found it. But in order to understand what exactly are rodents, I have given some pictures. Can you see? These are squirrels. Okay, squirrels are coming under the rodents which have two teeth in front. Okay, so these are other examples of rodents. Now I hope it is clear for you what exactly are rodents. Now let us enter into the chapter. To know Tippity was to love her, and I had known her for very long. Tippity, I must tell you, was not a naughty little girl with a penchant for climbing up certain poles, but a little rodent commonly called a flying squirrel. The large red flying squirrel, and must on no account be mistaken for the flying fox, which has nothing to do with Tippity's family. Okay, so the author is telling to know Tippity is to love her. That is a quality that this red squirrel have. To know Tippity is to love her. And he says it is a red flying squirrel, not a flying fox, but a flying squirrel. To know her is to love her. She was brought to me when only a few days old, and grew into a splendid specimen in all the glory of her wonderful chestnut red coat and 2 feet of bushy tail. She knew she was fascinating even at a very early age, and nothing delighted her more than to show off her lovely tail. Her one drawback as a pet was that she was nocturnal and was most lively when it was time for ordinary people to be in bed. Okay, so the author is telling Tippity was brought to this particular author when it was so small. Okay, and Tippity loved climbing. Tippity liked to wag her tail. She had a beautiful tail, very thick, and everyone who sees it would fall in love with it. So that was the quality Tippity had. But although Tippity had so many qualities, there is one drawback which Tippity had. The one drawback which the author says which Tippity possessed was when everyone is about to sleep. Okay, when it is time for all the others to sleep, Tippity would come to life. So Tippity would be disturbing the author and the others when they are about to sleep, because till then she would be sleeping, but when others are about to sleep, Tippity would come to life. She lived in a little box with two partitions. The inner one, her bedroom, was fitted with a little nest of feathers and cotton wool, and a tiny door led from it to the bigger sitting room where she also dined. The door of her sitting room being usually open, Tippity would announce the fact that she was awake by giving a low growl and issuing from there in a succession of long and not very graceful jumps. She would make her way to the nearest table and there indulge in a tremendous stretch, extending her forelegs to the full in front of her leg and her hind leg as far as they could go behind her. So now the author is telling about the place where Tippity is living. Tippity has a nest where she has to live. So this particular nest has two partitions. Okay, two partition. One her bedroom and the other one where she sits. And the where she sits is a place where she also dined. She used to have food. So when it was time for her to get up, she would make a small growl and also she would jump around. Another thing that she does is she would stretch her leg. She would keep her forelegs in front and also her hind leg behind, stretching as far as she can. Her head would first rest on the right forefoot and then on the left, her tail making circles in the air in the meantime. After her stretch would come her toilet, about which she was most particular. Tippity would sit erect and carefully get to work with both her little hands. Beginning with the tip of her nose, she would gradually work over the whole of her face and head. The tail would be her last, but by no means her least care. Her toilet finished, Tippity would have a look around, take one jump off the table, and raise up the nearest curtains to the floor above. There she would sit, her tail coiled around her neck, and those great big black eyes of hers looking solemnly down, and sooner or later she would leap right across the room onto my shoulder. Okay, now what we see is the routine of Tippity. Once she gets up, she goes for her needs. Once she finishes her daily routine, that is going for her needs, once she finishes that, she climbs onto the curtain, then climbs over the shoulder of the author. Okay, that is the daily routine which Tippity follows. As a worksheet, you can find out 10 names of different rodents. I hope today's class is clear to you. Thank you and bye.